playful and unexpected new classical crossover duo, the OK Factor, writes and performs folk-inspired music influenced by multiple genres with an artistry that reveals their classical training. Olivia and Karla, cellist Olivia Diercks and violinist Karla Colahan find great joy in defying expectations and delivering an experience outside of what audiences anticipate from a cello and violin combo. Organic and genuine, their original compositions feel both comfortingly familiar and uniquely fresh, and they have been described as genre-bending by Julie Amacher of NPR and as pure magic by Wausau Pilot and Review. The ease with which they write and perform and their passion for educational outreach have caught the attention of the Minnesota music community in which they live and work, bringing them success on stages such as the Cedar Cultural Center, as frequent featured artists with Minnesota Public Radio, and as finalists for the McKnight Fellowships for Musicians in 2018. Olivia and Karla invite audiences to explore music and cultivate a curiosity about its role in their lives. They were also the recipients of an American Scandinavian Foundation grant, and I had the great pleasure of having them join my 300 elementary students in the classroom a few years ago. I think you are in for such a treat today. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, hello everybody. We wish we could see all of your beautiful faces, but we trust that you're there and we know that you're beautiful. And we thank you so much for spending an afternoon with us. We're the OK Factor. I'm Olivia. This is Karla. And we're just honored and privileged to share an afternoon of music with you, kind of talking through our time in Sweden this past August. So as Andrew mentioned, we were recipients of the Scandinavian Folk Arts and Cultural Traditions Fellowship through the American Scandinavian Foundation. So this is a fellowship or a grant that we were awarded to really immerse ourselves in Swedish culture and to study traditional Swedish music to then bring back to the upper Midwest is kind of the goal. And if I may, I'd just like to read a brief blurb from the ASF website that just kind of is a real nice setup for kind of what we're going to talk about today and kind of provides context for what we were doing while we were there. So they write, broadly defined, folk arts are expressions of community identity and values. They're cultivated informally among individuals by word of mouth or example. They foster human creativity and transmit cultural values that affirm community ties. ASF is committed to celebrating and preserving Nordic cultures through the United States. And with that just so resonated with us as we contemplated what this fellowship might mean to us and the kind of work we might do if we were awarded. And so we were so thankful and thrilled, especially in the current climate, to be able to make that happen last August, and are thrilled to share some of the music and experiences that we had while we were there.
Yeah. So today we're so excited to take you on sort of a virtual tour of our tour in Sweden. We spent 2 weeks traveling around southern Sweden in the areas of Småland, around Gothenburg, and up on the Koster Islands. And so we have an hour full of traditional Scandinavian folk music for you, in addition to some stories and some videos from our time there. It has been such a pleasure to relive this in preparation for this, and so we're just delighted to share it with you now.
So we'll
thrilled
start
to have
out.
you here. I was just saying, we're thrilled to have you here.
Well, we're happy to be here. So happy to be here. Like Karla mentioned, we are just going to kind of go through sort of day-to-day of our tour. Where were we? What did we do? And then the music that we learned kind of at each turn or stop. Lucky for us, one of the first stops we made, well, the first concert we played was at a festival on Nordkoster, or the North Coaster Island. And
we should introduce the guys.
Oh, we should. Oh, sorry, Andrew. Can you go back? Good call. This is Yarv. We met Yarv in 2017. We opened for them at the Cedar Cultural Center and knew nothing about them. Played our opening set, and they were delightful in the green room, and so we chatted a little bit, but knew nothing about their music. Stayed for the concert.
blown away.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't really words to describe just it was, I can still feel it. It's like visceral. The excitement and the joy that they kind of transmit up on stage. They're wonderful musicians. And the music just really, Scandinavian folk music in particular, just really spoke to us after we heard it that night. So we'll introduce the guys just so you kind of have a sense of who they are. Joel is there. He plays soprano sax and flute and sings. All of them sing. Marcus is next. Yep. He plays fiddle, and we were told that he's kind of the folk music library of the group. He knows virtually every tune, kind of guides the guys along, and is sort of also the keeper of the gates in terms of
traditional,
allowing the group to expand, without losing sort of the roots, which is great. So Marcus plays fiddle and has a lovely voice. Tobias is right next to me. My son Charlie, side note, is obsessed with Tobias. Every time he sees a picture of him, he says he wants him to come to our house. And they're going to be here this summer at the American Swedish Institute, in Minneapolis. So we'll see them. Tobias is percussion extraordinaire. I don't think I've ever met a percussionist quite like him. Just a light touch, but knows when to be bold, and his sense of rhythm. He's also a fabulous organist and pianist. Lovely person. That's me, and that's Karla. You don't care about us. Harold plays guitar and also sings. Awesome. He led our final bows every night. He'd do. And Anders is kind of hiding in the back there. He plays key fiddle.
Upright bass, electric bass.
Yeah, and like we said, they all sing. So they were really the inspiration for our tour. They said, come over, we want you to come. We've kept in touch all these years, and they said, we think there's this grant opportunity, and once we read more about it, it really felt like it was a good fit. And we did. So that's who we spent our time with touring. So we started out on the North Coaster Island. And as you can see from some of these photos, what a way to start off a tour. It was stunningly gorgeous. It's an island, so there are no cars. There's just a few golf carts and foot traffic. So we kind of weaved our way in to the woods and played a set. And they had sort of a chamber orchestra there as well. And it was a beautiful time. And then we spent some time by the ocean before heading back. But we rehearsed this tune that we'll play for you now that the guys incorporate into most of their concerts. So this is one that they've arranged as a band. We'll play it for you now just as the two of us.
Fabulous.
Yes, this is it's a polska. So we'll get into a little bit more about traditional Scandinavian folk music form. But this particular tune, they always name their polskas after the person who originally composed it. So this guy's name was Donat. Excuse our terrible Swedish. Polska efter Donat. And actually I heard Anders say that this was like the 17th century disco tune.
Hey, so keep that in mind and feel free to dance as you listen.
Ready?
Yeah.
Fabulous. That was just lovely.
Thank you. Andrew, is there a way that we can see your face?
Yes. If I do that, does that let you see my face?
It does. I just
Excellent.
couldn't see you, and you were talking, and I wanted to make sure we could say hello to you. What's appropriate.
Y'all, isn't Andrew the best? If you don't know Andrew, you should. He's wonderful.
Thank you. Right. Should I put up the next stop on your tour?
Let's do it.
Excellent.
So we spent the majority of our tour, about a week and a half. A week. And some days.
And some change.
Okay. In Gothenburg, or Göteborg, as they say, there. We spent days rehearsing with the guys in their studio space. There's 2 photos on the right-hand side showing, where we spent our time with them there. The photo on the left is sort of the square that was outside of the school where their rehearsal room was held. And this square also housed the building of where the king's stables used to be, and is said to be the oldest building in Sweden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least in Gothenburg.
Yeah. Gothenburg was celebrating its 400th anniversary while we were there. So the whole town, was alive with festivities, even in the midst of COVID. Lots of fun things to explore and shopping and food to eat. And it was an incredible week that we spent there.
Yeah. So we'd like to share with you one of many. These rehearsal days were really where we learned the bulk of the tunes from our time there, just because it was uninterrupted time, sometimes without a concert in the evening. So we really just had a whole day to play. Mm-hmm. And it was just so wonderful and fun to have them, throw this tune at us. And I mean, that's why I wanted to read that kind of description from ASF's website, because of course we didn't have music, right? This is all by ear. They're throwing these tunes at us, and some of them were tricky. Yeah. I mean, they go by really quickly. This is derived from the kind of Baroque style music. So there's some funky ornamentation and rhythmic qualities that weren't exactly easy to catch on to right at first. So we really felt lucky that we got some of this uninterrupted time to play and to learn from them. It was a wonderful experience. This is one that we haven't formally arranged. I mean, we have a little bit that we'll play for you now, but I love this one. I'm obsessed with it. When they play, I mean, it was super fun prepping for this concert, because we listened back to so much of what we hadn't listened to in a little bit. And this is, you can hear me on the recording like, just so excited about this tune. And at the end, Yola goes, "Oh, it would be perfect for you. It would be perfect." He thought so too. So we'll work up a really good arrangement. Right now, we'll just kind of give you a sense of what the tune sounds like. So this is a Rhinelander.
I can absolutely see why they thought that would be perfect for you.
It's so fun to play. So fun to play.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, so our next stop, while we were in Gothenburg, we did several runouts to different small towns just outside the city limits. And so this performance, actually, that we're going to share with you via video was from a church we did, the Christina Kirche in
Alingsås.
Alingsås. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful church. One of our first formal performances with the guys. And this tune we're going to share was written by Marcus. He composed this, and it's called Jag ser dig, which means I see you. He always told this story during the shows about like dreams of a summer day, and you're just sort of walking in a field, and then you see somebody you know or you love, and you wave at them and you say, Jag ser dig. So we joined in on this one as, collaborators to perform this piece all throughout our tour, and we're so excited to share it with you now.
I'm going to say something really quick, Andrew, and that is that I just wanted to mention, so a classmate of ours at Luther, Mara Sorensen, told us, hey, I have a family friend. Did she call? I don't think they're actually related.
No, she was pen pals with her daughter.
Okay.
The person we met.
Yeah. And she said, I'm going to try to get her to come to the concert. And she came to this one, and we got to meet her, and she brought us roses from her garden and was just, her daughter's in the States, yeah. I think. And of course, this was during COVID, and so there was, just a tinge of she was so happy to see somebody from the States. And anyway, it was just a really special moment. That was really the only person we met who we had any tie to at all. So it was a really fun moment for us.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
All right, here is the song, and this is performed with Jarv, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that was just fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am noticing that in the chat, everything that people are chatting, greetings from all over the place, are coming from me. Apparently, somehow, that when I shared the Zoom link for today's event, it logged everybody in as Andrew Ellingson. So I would love for anybody out there to just go ahead and chime in and tell us who you are and where you are in the world so that we know that it's more than just a million Andrew Ellingsons cluttering up the chat. But we have folks.
A beautiful world, but there are people out there.
Yeah. It would be something, I will say. We have somebody just chimed in and commented what a gorgeous church that was and what a beautiful tune. And then you have folks out there also sharing that they play cello and violin and things like that. So it's just so lovely to have young string players joining today's audience. Thanks everybody for being here. Okay, back to you two.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And please do say who you are and where you're from so that we know you're not Andrew. But it'd be lovely to learn who's here with us today since we can't be in person. These are the joys of Zoom. Mm-hmm. I was just wanted to note really quickly, if any of you noticed, Tobias was playing percussion and then ran back to the organ to end that tune. That's something that happened often. They actually travel, at least in Sweden. Mm-hmm. Most every gig they do, they bring along, they have a big trailer that they pull. This is a pump organ, mm-hmm. and so you pump it with your feet as you play. That in and of itself is too much for me. I can't imagine doing that. But a lot of times the guys will start a tune out with that and then end it with that as well. So they run to their instruments then. Anders did it too with mm-hmm. bass. And then they'd run back and play organ at the end. So just kind of a fun tidbit. Let's see. So that was the concert in Alingsås. So yes, then we had more time in Gothenburg. And we just thought that you all should see some of the pastries that we ate far too often. I am pregnant, so this isn't all from Sweden, but it could have been because it was so good. Cardamom buns and just
Danishes and all kinds. And
the food was awesome. Yeah. I think one of the picture with the greenery is from the botanical gardens that we went to.
Conservatory. Mm-hmm.
And we were thinking, botanical gardens, in Minnesota, that means
greenhouses.
Inside. Yeah. And it's miles and miles of outdoor loveliness. So it was beautiful to spend some time there. So we had kind of half a day off and then spent some time just with Tobias and Marcus learning some more traditional tunes mm-hmm. And how to blast doing that. So this tune we'll share with you is about a nicken. And this is as dicey as it will get, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell this story because it is traditional folklore. And that is that the nicken were male water spirits, we'll say, typically unclothed, but that's fine, played enchanted songs on the violin. So there's kind of these water spirits that played fiddle, right? And they would lure women and children to the lake or stream. But a lot of the tales that are told of the nicken do not depict them as evil, just so you know. Instead, they just attract it all with their songs. So we're going to go with that route and just play an example of one of the tunes that these water spirits are said to have mm-hmm. shared and drawn people with as they played. Yeah. All right.
One quick note about this particular tune is that often fiddle players will tune their instruments to, I believe it was C sharp, A, C sharp, A, instead of E, A, D, G, is traditional for a Western classical fiddle. I will not be doing that today because we still have more to play for you, so I'm going to play the notes as they would sound had I tuned my strings. It's fine.
It would be a lot, but what a tuning.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could continue playing in that tuning.
It messes with your brain.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I can imagine. All right, here's a song from the nicken.
Great. Oh, there is a question that came in the chat. During the concert, they saw someone that was playing something that looked kind of like a violin, but holding it kind of like a banjo and playing it with a bow. I found a still shot of it, and I'm going to pop it up here and wondering if you could talk a little bit about this traditional instrument that he is holding there.
Yes. Yeah, that's the nyckelharpa, or the key fiddle, as they sometimes call it. And it's got a strap all the way at the scroll, and then that comes around the back side of the instrument. You play it almost like a guitar, sort of. It's a little bit like clunkier than a guitar. The bow is much shorter than a traditional violin bow, and it's almost shaped like a Baroque bow, which has a little bit more of an arch and an elongated tip. And so when you're playing this instrument, it's got 4 strings on the top and then resonating strings on the bottom, right? And then a set of keys on the side. So it's almost like a piano in that sense, where you press a key in and the mechanism pops down on the string on the note that you want it to play. And there are 4 sets of those keys sort of moving vertically on the side of the instrument. Horizontally that way, but, you know,
in terms of when you're holding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, if it's funny because when you play on, like, switching from the violin to the nyckelharpa, I got to play this instrument and sort of mastered one tune by the end of our time in Sweden. But you have to get used to the idea that you're no longer reaching up for, like, the G string, for instance. You're actually searching for a set of keys that's down below. So it's like you have to reverse the idea in your brain of where things go. But it is such a fun instrument to play. There's so much you can do with it. It's got such a unique sound, too.
Yeah. And Anders had 2, right? Do you remember?
One was tuned like a cello.
Okay.
And one was tuned like a violin.
Okay.
So he could sort of switch depending on the tune and the whatever the tune needed from that instrument.
Yeah. So I don't know how many different iterations exist, but we know at least there are 2 that kind of provided enough for Anders to be able to play in different keys and whatnot, depending on the tune we were playing.
Fascinating. Thank you. We have folks chiming in that they are watching from everywhere from Wisconsin to Tucson to right here in Decorah. And there's one woman who even shared that she has a pump organ that she plays and can pump with her feet. And she also plays the violin. So sign her up to join the next tour.
Right? Come join us. That's
excellent.
Awesome. I think next we're going to share, are we going to share a video? Yes, we are. Okay.
We are.
So this is another one of those kind of run out concerts that Karla talked about, where we were staying in Gothenburg but went out. This was an awesome day.
It was an amazing day.
We did a day-long video shoot. Harold is also a photographer and does video work as well professionally in Sweden, and actually took that on full time, I think, during kind of the height of the pandemic, and has since transitioned to that in addition to being a musician. I digress. He and a crew kind of set up a recording day for us, and so we were in this magical barn it's kind of the countryside in Sweden, and Kolberids. Okay, I just wanted to get the pronunciation right. This is where we were. So we were, if you look at the map, northeast-ish a little bit of Gothenburg. Yeah. And so this is, we're going to play a video for you. This is the Dala Suite. And it's 2 traditional tunes. 3? 2 traditional tunes. We put this together, actually that first rehearsal day in Gothenburg, but really kind of mastered it, and it all came together in this video that we would like to share with you now. So this is all of us performing at the barn. And we hope you enjoy.
Fantastic. All right, let me get that pulled up here for us. Enjoy, everybody.
Dalasviten, tagning 3.
Oh, but it's not streaming the video for some reason, so let me try again.
I think it is. It's us still for a little bit.
Oh, perfect. Well, then give me just a minute and we will have it pulled up here and ready for everybody again.
Sorry, Andrea.
Perfect. All right. Sharing my screen again.
Dalasviten, tagning 3. Good. Okay, Tobias Fartwill.
Wow.
So fun.
That's the most fun.
We should have turned off our video because we were just like...
Oh, I was bopping away at my desk. I loved when they were playing with flatting seventh and everything like that. There are people chiming in saying they can't wait to share the video of this once it's on YouTube with their granddaughter in Canada, up in British Columbia, who plays fiddle. We have violinists and cellists chiming in from Iowa and Illinois and Indiana, California. I mean, it is so much fun to get to connect with all of you. And Olivia and Karla, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you all
Just
for
joyful.
Thank you for being here with us and sharing time. And it's so fun. I wish we could see all of you, but you know what? This makes it possible because we probably wouldn't see all of you if we were in person in Iowa. So this is a good thing because it's so fun to hear where you're all from and how you're tuning in. So thank you for being here. Good. Do you want to talk about just a little bit about the next concert where we were?
Yeah. So we did a live streamed performance with the Göteborg International Organ Academy, of which my dad is a huge fan, funny enough. They put on these quarantine concerts, and so Jarv was invited to be a part of that, and of course we were there at the same time, so we shared an entire show, and that show is actually available on YouTube. If you search for Jarv on YouTube, you can find that entire concert and watch all of that. But there's a couple photos from that church space. It had this gorgeous ship hanging from the ceiling, and I don't remember what the story was. There a story?
I don't know that we were ever told the significance of that.
No,
but it was lovely.
Yeah.
And I mean, virtually every church that we were in was stunning in its own way. And this was no exception.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at this point, we had finally sort of mastered the art of the polska, which we wanted to sort of share. There are two different kinds of polskas. And polska, I believe, is a form of dance, right? And often like a minuet or a gavotte comes in a set of multiple tunes. But the polska was the one that stuck around long term and became sort of the traditional folk music from the Baroque era, when composers were, Swedish composers were actually writing music. These were the movements that really stuck around. So there's an even polska, which is just a straight 3 feeling, 1, 2, 3. And then there's an uneven polska where the 2 comes early. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we'd share those differences with a couple of tunes right now, just to give you a live demo of polskas. Yeah. We're gonna start with the even polska.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one that just is a straight 3. Right?
Yeah.
Very danceable. And then the uneven polska, they demonstrated the actual dance for us, and I think we danced an uneven polska at one point. But it's hard. It's hard to feel it in your body when you're so used to this very even feel. And so what they taught us was focus on the 3 and the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 3, 1.
And they were kind of like, just don't worry about the 2. It'll just, and in our minds are like, wait, where does it fall?
Tracking.
Where are we? But They were kind of right in a sense. Some of these intricacies you just sort of have to play and go rather than thinking too hard about it. And so this is one of those.
Yeah.
So here's an example of an uneven polska.
That is just gorgeous. Oh, so now that we've all gotten to hear an even one and an uneven one, tell us in the chat which one was your favorite. There's no right or wrong. Just tell us what your favorite was, the even one or the uneven one. Liz has already said that she loves the uneven. So.
It is kind of fun once you sort of catch on that sort of upbeat. It's catchy.
So Andrea from London, Ontario is chiming in and saying that the video from the barn reminds her of a bunch of years ago when she and a friend were traveling in Göteborg and met up with a folk dance group from Lindsborg, Kansas, and joined them and the local Swedes for a barn dance party. How much fun would that be?
That's amazing.
And Kathleen is sharing that this performance is reminding her of about 10 years ago when there was a Swedish group that came to Washington, Iowa. So you're bringing back good memories for so many folks.
Love it. Love it. Yay. Thank you all for tuning in and for being here. This is fun for us too. We're really getting to relive our time in Sweden, which there's not a lot better than that.
Seriously.
Kind of speaking of, let's see, make sure I don't get this wrong. Yes. So we had a concert at a church in Bankereeds. And so we were kind of traveling. At this point, we've traveled northwest a little bit more. And we ended up staying here. So this was one of the first time that we stayed anywhere other than Gothenburg. And so we actually got to stay on Marcus's family farm. And we're talking real farm. They have livestock. We were sitting out having breakfast and the horses came and they were, walking right by us to the pasture. It was stunningly gorgeous, just the countryside. There was electricity. It ended up going out. There was a big storm, so we were without power for a while. But we wanted to share this video. So in this video, we're actually playing a tune that Karla taught. So we kind of swapped. The guys actually wrote a grant for kind of almost the opposite, I think, of what we got a grant for, which was to sort of
cultural exchange.
Yeah, this exchange of cultural tradition. And so we taught them just a handful of tunes, and we got to do a workshop with some people in Sweden and taught them Love Song for Lucy, one of the tunes that we wrote. So anyway, in this video, you'll see us at Marcus's house, and we all got to rehearse together. And this is us kind of fine-tuning a little bit of Karla's tune.
Along with an explanation of what we were having for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, everybody watching at home will be jealous of the lunch that you got to have on the farm. Because it does look
good. And it was straight from the farm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Marcus, vad blir det till lunch? Kyckling med grönkålssallad och vad var det mer? Rotfruktsgratäng. Ja. Serveras idag.
Från det egna landet. Bon appetit, people.
I mean, come on, that looks so delicious. The music was great too. The music was great. That looks delicious.
Yeah, it's fine.
The food was wonderful.
It was very good.
And that was something that happened more than once. We were at Harold's house. We were at all of their houses.
We went to all of their houses except Tobias.
Yeah, because he lives a little further out. And almost every time they would pick vegetables straight from their garden, wash them off quick, and then we'd eat them. I mean, it was
amazing.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
There should be some photos on the next slide, Andrew, with farm images from the house.
And I was also going to chime in and say that Phil shared in the chat that the ship hangs in most Swedish churches as a nod to their seafaring heritage, and there's an article that he linked in there, so we can all go back and check out the article later, but for now, we know what the ship is all about.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you for enlightening us. Yeah. That's wonderful. Good. So yeah, Karla, we just included these images of the farm to just kind of, again, provide some context and give you an idea of just how stunning it was. So not a bad place to rehearse.
No, the house was, I don't remember how many years old. Over 100, I feel like.
I think his great grandfather built it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Incredible.
It is amazing how houses can sometimes stay in the family for that many generations. And it is amazing to go back and see the generations that have come through a single place.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was really special to get to be there. So we had another day of rehearsal. We were supposed to have a concert, but the storm that we talked about that knocked out the power for a while on the farm ended up raining us out for one of the nights, and so instead we got more rehearsal time, which was wonderful. And we ended up working up this tune that we do have a formal recording of, but not a video, so we thought we'd play an arrangement, just the two of us. This is another Rhinelander tune. this was like the most fun to play with the guys. We have a recording from our last concert with them, so it's really special. And then we actually go into, which we won't do today, but when we play it with the guys, we go into the tune that you just heard, Karla's tune, at the end. So to give you a little taste of something that we worked up during this rehearsal, here's another Rhinelander.
What joy. You two are just amazing. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Yeah. We just have
there is somebody named Andrew Ellingson in the chat, which must be me, clearly. But they want to know, what was the dish in the oven? People are very curious about the lunch.
He said kyckling, which is chicken. We had chicken and potatoes. I think it was a potato dish, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was sort of potatoes with kind of a cream gravy sauce.
Au gratin. So
Hot dish. It was hot dish.
Hot dish!
Fabulous.
Yeah, it was very good. And it was kyckling, I mean, straight from the farm. So it was very, very good.
Nice.
Yeah. We have just a couple more tunes to share with you. So we traveled again kind of further east. So like Karla mentioned, our whole tour was very much southern Sweden. But we did go pretty far east, as you can tell. So now we're way over kind of on the east coast. And we played at Lagradna Kultur, which is, I don't know how new the venue was. It seemed like it was
several years. I feel like they've been doing concert series.
Okay.
Owned by a woman who literally lives across the street.
Yeah.
In a gorgeous Swedish home.
Yeah, and so she kind of opened up her barn. There were, she experienced some issues with COVID in terms of capacity and all of that, but we were able to play and people were kind of spread out. And then another band played that night as well, Colahan. And they're Swedish, but they had just gotten off of a big long tour and they've got some new music out. Anyway, you should check them out because they're wonderful. But we got to jam with them too that night. And the tune we're going to share with you is one that they played during their set. I don't know if it's on their album that I have. I don't think it is. But we sort of fell in love with the tune when we heard them play it, and then later that night we got to learn it and jam with them. So, yeah.
This is called De Lounge Bar.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know you have one more tune to play for us, but I want to take care of the Vesterheim wrap-up stuff so we can end the day with music instead of listening to Andrew yammer at the very end of the day. So a huge thank you to everybody out there for attending today. A huge thank you to the two of you. You two are just amazing, and we are so lucky to have gotten to have this little insight into your travels and music making. I also want to extend thanks to our collections, exhibitions, development, accounting, communications, and marketing teams for everything they do behind the scenes to make programs like this possible. A recording of this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel soon. There will be a survey that will come up. For some of you, it will pop up on the screen right after the Zoom is done. For some of you, it will come in an email that comes out tomorrow. And for some of you, it will appear in both ways. You only have to fill it out once, but we do very much value your feedback and thoughts. We don't get our feelings hurt by honest feedback, but we are grateful because it helps us continue to refine and improve the offerings at Vesterheim Folk Art School. Lastly, if you enjoyed today's concert, and I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am, please consider becoming a member or contributing a gift online. Today's concert is generously supported by a grant, but we cannot do programs like this and all of the other happenings without the folks like you. As we like to say, you can't have a folk art school without the folks, and you're our folks. So thanks for being our folks. Okay, enough Andrew, back to Olivia and Karla, and one more stop in the grand tour of Sweden.
One more stop. Before we get to that, we should also just say a quick thank you to the Vesterheim, to Andrew, to the entire team there for what you do on a daily basis. It's important for artists like us to have spaces like this, whether virtual or in person, to play and to share. This is what we love to do. It's our life's passion. And of course, with everything going on right now with COVID, it's been tricky and difficult, and so this means a whole lot to us, and we hope that it's valuable to you as well. But like Andrew said, consider making a donation, whatever is comfortable for you, to support the museum, because it's important for us, and we hope it's an important sort of offering for your communities as well. Thank you all so much for being here and for tuning in. It's our pleasure.
And I also say, visit theokfactor.com to find ways to get more of their music in your life, including being a Patreon where you get weekly and monthly video blasts and invites to things. So there's lots of ways to support the OK Factor also. Okay, back to Sweden we go.
Okay,
One more stop.
yes.
Last stop.
Our last stop was Älmhult, the IKEA capital of the world, the home of IKEA, which we didn't actually get to go visit, but I swear to you, the second we set wheels down back in Minneapolis,
She's not lying. She
I went to IKEA.
beelined it to IKEA. She needed to have Sweden in her life.
I did. I really did. And I might go there again soon. This concert was at the Folkets Hus. It was one of the cutest venues we've ever played. The interior, I think, was like 90% IKEA stuff, but obviously that was our green room on the right, and so you can see the personality and the life and the love that they put into this community venue. It was our like first sort of formal stage performance, and our last performance in Sweden. However, not our last performance ever, because we have some shows coming up with them this fall when they tour here to the States, which we're very excited about. So if you do head to theokfactor.com, sign up for our newsletter so you can get to know when Yarv will be coming back and we'll be playing shows. So we wanted to share a slang polska. This is an even polska after Peter Dufva, a man who lived at one point in Sweden and wrote this lovely little polska that we have just fallen in love with.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much.